look at how to slice up a web design to put on your web page. First, I'd like to draw your attention to this gorgeous layout. This was actually a tutorial that I walked through that was created by Sue Jenkins. She's got a book out called Smashing Photoshop CS5, and this was one of the tutorials in there, and it gives a beautiful step-by-step example of how to create this gorgeous art. So if you get a chance, go get that book by Sue Jenkins. Again, that was Smashing Photoshop CS5. When you're looking at a page and thinking about how am I going to take this from a PSD to the web, you have to really consider what needs to be coded as HTML and what should be a graphic. I had provided in your lecture, I had provided an annotation about some of the things that I think about. I'm going to take that one step further. So let's go through the page and talk about what is definitely going to be live text. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, I want that phone number to be live text. That's one of the things that can be indexed. I'm also going to want the text for my navigation system to be live. In addition, this H1 element here will be live, so will this. All of this text, all of this text will be live. And then also all the footer text down at the bottom will be live. So when you slice this up in the real world, what you're going to want to do is turn off that text so you can get just the graphics underneath. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go over to my layers panel. I'm going to turn off nav text. I'm going to turn off the callout box. I'm going to leave on the callout boxes. I will turn off the right call text, mid call text, left call text, which actually takes out that one as well. I'm going to scroll down and find the footer text. I'm going to turn that off as well. And there we have the actual web page that we need to slice. It makes things simpler, doesn't it? You know, when we don't have all that text on there, we don't have to worry about slicing those little individual items. So I start with pulling guides onto my page. I want to let Photoshop do as much of the calculation for those guides as possible. When I had been doing this before as a student, what I realized is I was going in and getting my slice tool and I was drawing individual slices all over the place. I would put a slice here, I would do my very best to get the next slice down here, etc. And I would just keep going down the page. But what I was finding was happening is I would have these little tiny slivers of 1 pixel high pieces of graphic that were kind of left over. So when Photoshop shoved this out into a table, I would see those horrible little 1 pixel graphics that I couldn't figure out what was going on. What's really happening underneath that, because I drew them myself, is that my slices were actually overlapping each other by 1 pixel. So I'm going to undo those two that I just drew. And I found that if I let Photoshop decide where to draw them, it likes it much better, and I don't get those nasty little slivers left over. So let's start by drawing some guides. Grab your move tool, hit the V key, go up into your ruler. By the way, if you can't see your ruler, you can either go up to View and down to Rulers, or you can simply hit Control or Command R. I'm going to click in my top ruler and drag down to where the first slice should be. I want this header all in one graphic. And I'm thinking I'm going to keep this simple. I know that there's a gradient on this side of the page, okay? On that side of the page. So I want this little guy to be a slice because there's a little bit of a gradient in there. We want that to be a slice, and we want this part to be a slice. This text box here can actually be generated with HTML code pretty easily. You would just set a border around it and set it to what, 10 pixels or something like that. So that I would not actually worry about. But this guy is going to need to be extracted and put out into the web page. So we'll think about how to do that in just a little bit. Let's come down. I'm going to take this out. I might actually move that up just a little bit. Oh, by the way, if you're having a problem positioning your guides, like it jumps on you, go up to View and turn Snap off. That's the snapping feature. So now you should be able to move those guides around a little more easily, a little more precisely. There we go. Put one right there. Put more right here. I'll put another one down here. Then another one down just above the footer. Now I'm going to isolate this area. I'm going to bring this guy in. I'm going to trim off that white margin that's around the edge. By the way, the technical term for that is called bleed. That's a print term. And I'm not going to worry about, actually maybe, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this guy on this side. You don't have to worry about this slice so much, but it's not going to hurt you to do it just to get the practice. Now the reason why you wouldn't worry about this slice so much is because you've got it already blocked out on this side. Now if you think about HTML code, if you've got one large slice here, you can tell this guy to repeat on the horizontal axis, repeat Y, all across this particular div. So you wouldn't have to have this extra graphic over here. And as a matter of fact, you wouldn't have to have this guy, and you wouldn't have to have this slice up here. But like I said, we're practicing, so it's not going to hurt us. Okay, that looks pretty good. These boxes down here, we're going to get to those in just a little bit. So let's keep this simple for now, and we want to grab the slice tool, and then come up to slices from guides in the very top. Okay, click that guy, and now we see that Photoshop has generated our slices, our little slivers of our image. Now, obviously, I've got some that are just nonsensical. If you take a look up here in your header, you've got this slice over here, you've got this actual little slice over here. So what we need to do is we need to combine those guys and make this one large graphic. Grab your slice tool, but go down to slice select tool instead. So that was slice select tool. It's underneath slice tool. I'm going to click once, hold down my shift key, click again, and then click a third time to get the little tiny slice there on the edge. Right click and tell it to combine slices. Now, it may look like nothing really happened, but I've got my guides in the way. So let's turn those guides off. Go up to View, and let's turn off guides at this point. We can always come back and turn them on. So you can see that, in fact, I do have one large slice going across there. Now, if you look closely, right here, I know that this would be a problem because, just having worked in web design for so long, I didn't get enough of my graphic. So when you draw your guides out, make sure they are really, really positioned exactly where you want them to be. Zoom in and double check your work. If you find that you have made a mistake and you really, really need to correct it, grab that slice tool. Now, you don't want to click and just drag as it is right now. You want to make sure that you select both of the slices that are actually involved in this before you start moving stuff. So I'm going to click one time in the large header graphic. I'm going to click Shift and do it on the, Shift and click in the other graphic. Now I'm going to move that. Again, that's to help prevent those little 1 pixel wide slices that just drive me insane. Hit Control minus to come out a little bit. You could do the same thing over here, but remember this slice isn't as critical because we've already got it on the other side. Hit Control minus, and I'm going to actually take this down to about 80% because that's going to be easier for you guys to see. There it is. Now, so we still have some work to do on the left corner, the left middle, and left bottom of that area there. So let's zoom in a little bit more, just on those guys. I'm going to go in just a little bit more too. There we go. Grab your slice tool again. Shift click on both of those two and tell it to combine slices. I'm going to hold down my space bar to get my grab tool, and I'm simply going to move it up. And what I'm looking for is that next area that needs to be combined. This guy right there. So again, I've got a little bit of shifting to do, so I'm going to just shift this guy up 1 pixel, just like that. I'm going to click both of those, and you can see I need to move those guys up. Shift, click for both to make sure that they're selected, and right-click and combine. I can't emphasize how important doing detail work in zoom mode is. You will save yourselves a lot of hassle down the road if you get used to really reviewing stuff up close and personal. Okay. And this time I'm actually going to be a little smarter. I shift-clicked it and shift-clicked to select all 4 of these areas, and now I'm going to move that up with a 1 pixel, and that should save me some time. Okay, I want to select this slice and this slice, right-click, combine slices. Click this slice, shift-click the one next to it, and combine those slices. That's better. Now it looks like these guys need a little help too. So I'm just going to go back up and I'm going to fix those while I'm here. All right. Holding down my space bar to get my grab tool. Let's go see what's happening on the other side of the world over here. Just takes a little bit of time to get there. There it is. Okay, so I've got some more work to do. Shift, click those 4 guys. Select them all, move that up. I'm going to shift click those 4 guys to move those up to right about there. And I'm going to shift click these 4. Actually, let's do those as well and move those out to the edge there. This one, and this one need to be moved in 1 pixel so that that looks better. Aha! I had a problem. There we go. Yeah, you'll see that now you're seeing what I'm talking about. Those little 1 pixel obnoxious slices. That's where they come from, is when you start moving things around like this. So you have to click on both slices to make sure that you really are moving the thing you think you are moving. Okay. Now, I can finally combine these 2, combine those, combine this guy. Good. I'm going to move back up, and we're just going around the block there. Let me come back here. Okay. Aha! We had a problem in the design. So right here, this was 1 pixel too wide for this. Yeah, so I should have checked that out before I got into this slicing. But we're going to leave it, and we're going to assume that because this is that white, that you're going to be able to make up for that in the HTML. The rest of this I don't think is going to matter, except for maybe this header graphic. Let's pull this down 2 pixels. There we go. Again, I don't care about that white. I do care about this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this guy to the right. And I'm going to shift click on both of those to combine those 2 slices. Those are important. Okay. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. All right. Now, let's talk about this leaf. Get your move tool, hit Command, and select the leaf. What that does is it's going to highlight where it is inside of your folders. So right here, I can see that I've got this shape. Let's turn it off and turn it on to confirm that yes, that is the leaf. So what I can do now is I can do a couple of things. I can either turn this off and export that whole graphic, which is, certainly a viable option. But because I know that I'm going to do this blue and white border inside of HTML, I am going to turn this guy on, and we need to do a slice from the layer. So go up to Layer, New Layer-Based Slice, if you choose, okay? To export just this graphic, that's a great way to do it. Now, you would turn off everything else, all the background images, everything, so that you can slice this out and export it as a PNG. If you export it as a PNG, you'll be able to have a transparency in the background and then fly it right over the top of the HTML code. Okay, for now, I'm going to undo that particular slice, and we're going to pretend that we're just going to send it straight out as a block image. So that looks pretty good. Pretty good. Now there's one more tip I want to show you down here for these 3 callout boxes. I had mentioned that you can code those straight into HTML because they're flat color. That's really easy to do. But let's say you get yourselves into a situation where you can't do that. So you would drag out some more guides. And you could either try to block out all 3 of these, or you could be a little smarter. You could come over and simply do 1 box, knowing that when you get into your code, you can replicate that by simply calling the same image 3 times. That is just fine. Okay, so this guy would be sliced like this, because I'm really concentrating on that first box. Great. Now I would have to go back in and, fix the problems with the slices. I would have to tell it to do another slice from guides. I'm going to undo that for now. I just wanted to show you what you could do. In our next video, we're going to talk about how to really get those slices ready to be exported as PNGs and GIFs and JPEGs.